This is probably the most interesting book I've ever read. And if there was one book that I would put into book talk so that we can have a general discussion about the experience of reading this book, who the main character is, and the story, this is what I would put up there. I had never heard of this book, and I don't know why, because this is literally the essential Mexican novel. This is like the pinnacle of Hispanic literature. It is also what essentially birthed Gabriel Garcia Marquez. He knows every single word of this book, I believe, like the original Spanish version. It's a wild ride. The way I would describe this book is like those 90s pictures where you see all the lines and all of a sudden like a dolphin pops out of the picture and you start to get it. I tried for a month to get through the first 20 pages. And then it was a day before a book club at my local bookstore who had this as the month selection. And I was like, I'm going to go and I'm going to read it. And I read it all in one sitting. I believe Juan Rulfo said that the way to get this book is really to read it 3 times. I think you should definitely one of those times read it in one sitting. It's 123 pages. If I had to describe this book in one word, I would say the word consciousness. It sort of, in a way, feels like watching a movie along with a shamanic journey. The basic architecture of the story is that this young man, his mother has died, and she basically says, go and find your father, Pedro Paramo, in this town and take him for what he's worth. As he's going along the path, going into this kind of abandoned town, he meets this guy, and the last thing the guy says is like, oh yeah, that's my dad too. Then we get into like all of Pedro Paramo, who's kind of like this Elon Musk character. He's like this baron of this town. It goes through really interesting period of Mexican history. There is so much in here. You're talking to ghosts. Sometimes you don't know who's talking. There are no chapters. Sometimes you don't know what's dialogue, what's thoughts. It is notoriously a challenging read, but honestly, something clicks. It's like you sort of have to release the reins on your experience in reading and sort of like let it happen like a trip. That's kind of why I say this like wild shamanic moment. It's kind of, I don't know why reading this book reminds me of like, not reminds me, but just like gives me the literary version of like ayahuasca in some way, because you're going past, present, different people. It is fascinating and incredible. And by the end of the book club, I was like, I think this might be like top 5 favorite books ever. And I wish that I spoke Spanish so that I could read this in the original Spanish version and get so much more out of it. Have you ever read this? Please, let's talk about it.